How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to cover an adaptation of an exercise that is in the self-initiation into the Golden Dawn tradition by the Ciceros. This is entitled The Rites of Elemental Equilibration. I call it the Elemental Equilibrium Exercise. The one that's covered in this book is relatively dependent on god names and Kabbalistic paradigms, but it can be used rather effectively without sort of tunneling into that specific perspective. So I'm going to cover how it describes it, and then I'm going to cover the way that I sort of do it these days. Um, you do what works for you. You can use this in pretty much any paradigm or perspective that you're working in. So it says to begin standing facing the east and perform the fourfold breath. Now, this is something that I've covered before. It's also called box breathing. Essentially, you inhale at a count of 4. It doesn't have to be 4 seconds. It can be 4 heartbeats. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4. The idea is that you are creating an even breathing pattern. So you inhale and hold, exhale, exhale. And in hold is holding on the inhale, and exhale is holding with empty lungs. So you're going to stand facing east and perform the fourfold breath a number of times until you feel relaxed. It says to imagine a brilliant light above your head at the Keter, soul star chakra center. And you reach up with your right hand as if to touch the light and bring the light down to your forehead. Those of you who are familiar with the Kabbalistic cross, this is the beginning of that. You imagine a yellow triangle of air superimposed over the upper part of your body. And then it says that you vibrate the god name Shaddai El Kai. This is related to the sphere of Yesod. And for those of you who don't know, vibrating and intonation is just a sort of long, drawn-out pronunciation of the phrase, like Shaddai El Kai. Different people do it differently. Some people use a vibrato. That's how, personally, I do it. I use my diaphragm, and when you do it correctly, you will feel your entire body vibrate, and it'll have a sort of subtle sensory effect to it. So you begin with the light, you draw it down to your forehead. It says to imagine a yellow triangle superimposed over the upper part of your body. Again, I'm going to share an adaptation, but that's what it says to do. And then you vibrate the god name of the sphere of Yesod. Next, you picture a black triangle of earth, apex down, covering the lower portion of your body. And you bring your hand down, pointing to the ground toward the sphere of Malkuth, or the Earth Star chakra. For those of you who are familiar with Kabbalistic phrasing, and you vibrate the god name of the sphere of Malkuth, which is Adonai Haaretz. Again, drawing it out as you're vibrating it. Next, you visualize a red triangle of fire, apex up. So it's a red triangle like this. And something else I should have mentioned, the triangle of air has a line to the top. The triangle of earth has a line to the bottom. The triangle of fire is just going to be a red triangle like this. And you're going to imagine on the right side of your body, and you're going to touch your right shoulder. So once again, for those of you who are familiar with the Calistic Cross, this is essentially what we're doing. But we are creating a balance between above and below, and the physical world, more or less. We're creating a balance here, an equilibrium. You can relate it to the crucifixion if you want to, but the symbol of the cross was around long before Christianity. So anyway, you touch the right shoulder and you intone the god name of the sphere of Hod, which is Yehovah Tzabaoth. I'm sorry, That is the god name of the sphere of Netzach. You are going to intone Yahweh or Yehovah or Yod Chava or Yod He Vav He. You're going to intone the tetragrammaton with Tzabaot or Zabaoth. And while you're going to do that while you're imagining the triangle of fire. Next, you imagine the blue triangle of water to your left. Make an actual triangle this time, not a rhombus. Apex down. And it's going to cover the left side of your body. And you're going to touch the left shoulder and intone Elohim Tzabaot or Zabaoth as you imagine that. And that corresponds to the god name of the sphere of Hod. Then you're going to bring both of your hands together, interlocking your fingers and pointing your palm outward. And you're going to touch the area of your heart with your knuckles. And then you're going to imagine the sigil of the spirit wheel, which is a circle with 8 equilateral lines. You're going to imagine that spirit wheel in the center of your body that unites the 4 triangles. And you're going to, it says vibrate eth, which I think comes from spirit. It's Aleph and Tav, essentially, which is the first and last letter, Alpha and Omega. There's probably more to it than that if you really want to look into it, but we're going to go with that just for now. It's sort of the beginning and the end. It's an all-encompassing vibration. And the way that you can do this is you can bring your tongue to your teeth and keep your lips open so that it's like and you get like sort of that whistling sound, and that has a pretty unique effect on not only the physical body but the subtle body as well. Then it says that you're going to continue the 4-fold breath. The way that this works is what I have taken the most from it, that I like the most, and that is associating the inhale with fire, the inhold with water, the exhale with air, and the exhold with earth. And then you're going to strongly imagine, it says, all of the elemental triangles within your aura balanced and in harmony under the guidance of spirit. So they should all be similar intensity and color and tone. They should all be similar in size, etc., etc. Now, here's the adaptation that I use. I simply imagine, well, I shouldn't say simply, because in some ways it's more complicated and in some ways it's more simple. For instance, instead of a triangle, I imagine a pyramid, a tetrahedron, which I've actually got one here. I imagine one of these 4-sided shapes here, which is called a tetrahedron. So above my head is a yellow one, and it's much bigger than this. It's about this big, and the very top of it is actually separated from the rest of the triangle. So it mimics the triangle of air, and it has the separation. And I imagine that it's rotating and spinning clockwise. I do this because the element of air is often described as projective, and spinning to the right is a masculine, quote unquote, projective frequency. It's projective as opposed to counterclockwise, which is receptive or feminine. I use those terms very loosely. So above is yellow, and it's a sectioned tetrahedron. Like it has an actual gap through the top of it, like floating and levitating above itself. So I imagine that in yellow, and I imagine that it's rotating clockwise, and I imagine I don't start with that one because I start with the inhale. So I start with the fire triangle to the right, and it is about a foot maybe, and it's red, and it's whole, and it's spinning clockwise. So I imagine as I inhale, I see this pyramid of red, and it ignites with fire. So as I'm inhaling, it's spinning clockwise. Then as I go into the in hold, I move over here, and there is a blue triangle that is spinning counterclockwise as I'm doing the in hold. Then as I exhale, there is the triangle of air that is spinning in yellow and sectioned above my head going clockwise. And then at the X hold, I use green. There is a green sectioned, again, it's segmented, it's sectioned, spinning beneath my feet, and green, sorry, going counterclockwise. So again, the way that works is I start with fire, and it's surrounded by fire as I inhale, and it's spinning clockwise. Then at the end hold is the upside down blue triangle, and it has water that is sort of dripping down from it as I end hold. Then as I exhale, there's the triangle of the pyramid rather of air, and I see like sort of a tornado of wind spinning around it. And then as I imagine the pyramid of earth on the X hold, I see like crystals sort of forming around it. This has brought me so much balance so many times, sometimes within a matter of moments, a matter of seconds. I find myself grounded and centered and balanced doing this exercise. And sometimes all it takes is one cycle of inhale, in hold, exhale, exhale. And once I've done that, then you can do the spirit wheel, and you can do the vibrations and all that. But I've found that as long as you keep them in harmony and you keep them balanced, that is enough, at least for the beginning stages. Now, if you want to build up, as with all of the exercises on this channel, and with all exercises perhaps in general, you can start with a foundational basic approach and slowly build on them as you go. I recommend at least doing these four, at least using the colors. You don't have to do the pyramid, you don't have to do the spinning. I in fact even go another degree, and I add what's known as the flashing color, which is the opposite color. So the red triangle of fire has sort of like the pattern of camouflage, or like a leopard sort of swirling around the outside of it. And if you can't see that in your mind's eye, that's okay. And don't worry about it. But if you know what I'm talking about, then it can benefit you to do that as well. But anyway, that's what I call the elemental equilibrium exercise. I'll go over it one more time, in real time, just so it's less scattered and dissipated. So I first bring myself into a natural fourfold breath. So inhale, and hold, exhale, exhale. Then I imagine the pyramid of fire spinning clockwise, then the pyramid of water that's spinning counterclockwise on the inhale. And then at the exhale, the pyramid of air spinning clockwise above my head in yellow, red, blue, yellow. And then as I exhale, the green pyramid beneath my feet. And I just sort of work through these. And you might find that the more that you do this, the greater of an effect that it has. Anyway, that's all for this one. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good rest of the day.